A civilization is any complex society, characterized by the development of the state, social stratification, urbanization, and symbolic systems of communication beyond natural spoken language. Historically, a civilization has often been understood as a larger and more advanced culture, in implied contrast to smaller, supposedly less advanced cultures. Today, we are here to learn about the top 3 oldest civilizations of all time. Ancient Egypt was a civilization of ancient Northeast Africa, concentrated along the lower reaches of the Nile River, situated in the place that is now the country Egypt. Ancient Egyptian civilization followed prehistoric Egypt and coalesced around 3100 BC. The success of ancient Egyptian civilization came partly from its ability to adapt to the conditions of the Nile River Valley for agriculture. The predictable flooding and controlled irrigation of the fertile valley produced surplus crops which supported a more dense population and social development and culture. Early development of an independent writing system, the organization of collective construction and agricultural projects, trade with surrounding regions, and a military intended to assert Egyptian dominance. The many achievements of the ancient Egyptians include the quarrying, surveying, and construction techniques that supported the building of monumental pyramids, temples, and obelisks. People settled in Egypt as early as 6000 BC. Over time, small villages joined together to become states until two kingdoms emerge: Lower Egypt, which covers the Nile River Delta up to the Mediterranean Sea in the north, and Upper Egypt, which covers the Nile Valley in the south. Around 3100 BC, a king later called a pharaoh united these two lands to be one country, and so historians begin the long history of ancient Egypt here, dividing it into different periods. As rulers became more powerful, they were better able to coordinate labor and resources to construct major projects, and more people required larger supplies of food. Projects to improve agricultural production, such as levees and canals, became more important. Egyptians also began to build ships, constructed of wooden planks tied together with rope and stuffed with reeds, to trade goods such as ebony, incense, gold, copper, and Lebanese cedar, which was particularly important for construction projects. Those individuals who were wealthy and powerful began building larger tombs, which were precursors to the pyramids. These tombs represented a growing divide between the elite and common people in Egyptian society. Only the wealthy and important could afford and be considered as deserving of such elaborate burials. They believed there is afterlife, and they were buried with all necessities of life in their tombs. The Indus Valley Civilization, also known as the Indus Civilization, was a Bronze Age civilization in the northwestern regions of South Asia, lasting from 3300 BC to 1300 BC, and in its mature form 2600 BC to 1900 BC. Its sites spanning an area from much of Pakistan to northeast Afghanistan and northwestern India. The civilization flourished both in the alluvial plain of the Indus River, which flows through the length of Pakistan. The term Harappan is sometimes applied to the Indus civilization, after its type site Harappa, the first to be excavated early in the 20th century in what was then the Punjab province of British India and is now Punjab, Pakistan. The cities of the ancient Indus were noted for their urban planning, baked brick houses, elaborate drainage systems, water supply systems, clusters of large non-residential buildings, and techniques of handicraft and metallurgy. Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa very likely grew to contain between 30,000 and 60,000 individuals, and the civilization may have contained between 1 and 5 million individuals during its florescence. The cities of the ancient Indus had social hierarchies. Their writing system, their large planned cities, and their long-distance trade marked them to archaeologists as a full-fledged civilization. The Indus civilization apparently evolved from the villages of neighbors or predecessors, using the Mesopotamian model of irrigated agriculture, with sufficient skill to reap the advantages of the spacious and fertile Indus River Valley while controlling the formidable annual flood that simultaneously fertilizes and destroys. Wheat and 6-row barley were grown, field peas, mustard, sesame, and a few date stones have also been found, as well as some of the earliest known traces of cotton. Trade was extensive and apparently well regulated, providing imported raw materials for use at internal production centers, distributing finished goods throughout the region. The widespread occurrence of inscriptions in the Harappan script almost certainly indicates the use of a single lingua franca. Nevertheless, in the absence of inscriptions that can be read and interpreted, it is inevitable that far less is known of these aspects of the Indus civilization than those of contemporaneous Mesopotamia. When speaking about the oldest civilizations of the world, we must include name of Sumerian civilization. The Sumerian civilization left a massive impact on the religion and cultural thought of the world in a way that no other civilization has since. But first, a bit of history. The ancient Sumerians lived in the region of Mesopotamia, located in modern-day Iraq, because of its location near the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The Sumerians could forego a hunting and gathering lifestyle and begin farming, which later formed some of the Earth's first cities. Sumer was first settled between 4500 and 4000 BCE by a non-Semitic people who did not speak the Sumerian language. These people now are called Proto-Euphrateans or Ubaidians. For the village Al-Ubaid, where their remains were first discovered, the Ubaidians were the first civilizing force in Sumer, draining the marshes for agriculture, developing trade, and establishing industries, including weaving, leatherwork, metalwork, masonry, and pottery. The people called Sumerians, whose language became the prevailing language of the territory, probably came from around Anatolia. The Sumerians learned to farm on a grand scale in the so-called Fertile Crescent, a thin, crescent-shaped sliver of Mesopotamia often tied to the dawn of farming, writing, mathematics, and astronomy. Sumer actually had a massive advantage. By settling between two large rivers, the Sumerians benefited from rich floodplain soil and ample water to irrigate crops. Their success was accelerated by Sumerian technological innovations like canals and ploughs. With time, Sumer got so good at growing food that they started to have enough resources left over to focus on building the cities and temples. All the efficiencies helped support a growing population, as well as a growing system of rulers and religion. And as their cities grew, so did their efforts in writing, math, and religion. As far back as 5,000 years ago, the Sumerians had developed cuneiform, one of the earliest forms of writing. Sumerian inscriptions on clay and stone tracked the trade and movement of grain and other goods, recorded Sumerian history, and even included cooking recipes. This was our today's video. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe and share. See you next time with next video. Till then, take care.